Okay. So many of you hear me make an announcement every week about the Parsha class I teach. Once a week, it's on Thursdays now. It moves from Thursdays to Tuesdays. And I talk about teaching Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach's commentary on the Parsha. And I also mention someone else, David Wolflight, Rabbi David Wolflight. And so I want to give you a taste of David Wolflight today. I want to give you a taste of David Wolflight as well as Shlomo today. I want to start with a little Shlomo. There's a piece, actually start with David Wolflight from last week from Truma. And these two parshiot, I love them. Some people can't stand them because there's all these details and numbers and it just doesn't seem to make any sense. But I like architecture, I like houses, I know the importance of our environment for staying in connection with Hashem. I mean, it's vitally important how your house is for yourself because you don't want to have to fight against it all the time and use up energy that way. You want it to support your connection with Hashem. And one of the things that David Wolflight gave from last week's parsha, which is from a lot of what he does is takes Hasidus and he brings through the Hasidus in a language that really resonates for the psychology of who we are and how we connect. And one of them was this take from me an offering. When you, it's literally, he says that from last week, when you take me, literally says, take me, God says, you usually put in take for me, you know, but to take me, when you open yourselves to receiving the divine energies, which are always flowing from the source, like the vast river out of Eden, then Hashem says it is as good as if you offered up an offering. So it's like open the space in yourself for me to come in. And this is very close to something that Shlomo gives over for this week's Parsha, when he talks about, this is how he calls it, the blissful experience. You know, I'll tell you something very deep in typical Shlomo language. Imagine if Beethoven would have never learned to play the piano. What would have happened? He would have had all this talent inside, but nothing would have happened. And do you know what it means that we Yiddelach believe in God? It means we have a talent to believe in God, if it's educated. It's not educated, I can do everything contrary to it. I still have it in a very, very deep way, but it's very little to do with my life. I know there's one God, even if it's clear to me, I still don't know what to do with it. And so he tells this story. At one time, old Hasidim were seen together. And one of them asked, what did the Baal Shem Tov teach us? Whatever the Baal Shem Tov taught us, we knew before. So one of them says, the holy Baal Shem Tov taught us that everything we knew is really so. It is really so. And then he goes on, you know, do you know what neshama means? Noshem Hay. Noshem Hay, inhaling God. Neshama is inhaling God. And do you know what it means to inhale God? Every second I'm inhaling new air. I'm not inhaling old air. I'm pushing out the old air, but I'm inhaling again. In other words, if I'm already on the level, but I know something about God, that every second I realize that what I knew before was nothing. And I teach in my classes about Malchut as being the place of recognizing that every breath we take, we think we're taking the breath. No, Hashem is breathing us. At every second, we are breathed by Hashem, and we only exist in our life because Hashem chooses to breathe us. So being quiet and being still and saying, let Hashem breathe me, and allow yourself to wait to be breathed by Hashem is a very strong centering experience in the sense of letting God in and taking God into us. And then I want to go to, again, back to David Wolflight, where he takes, he talks about the Avat Olam that we say before the Shema. In the authors of the Siddur, the Anshe Knesset Hagadol, the members of the Great Assembly, in Ezra's time said that they correspond and enfold a lot of the secrets of the temple into the prayers. So the 8 verbs that we say in the Ahavat Olam, the series of 8, which I always pay attention to because I'm still trying to learn Hebrew, and this is a great series of important verbs. Every single one of those corresponds to the garment of the high priest. Okay, so this is how it goes. Lahavin, to understand. This is the avnach, the sash. The long sash was wound around the middle of the body 32 times to support the heart, the seat of understanding. Haskil, to conceive. The hoshin, the breastplate. The breastplate's function was to cancel the heart's anger, to reframe opinions and help clear judgment. Because you got your judgment from the breastplate. The shemoah, to listen. The mill, the robe. According to the Zohar, the robe embodied within it the pattern of reincarnation, and its utility was to guide the nation in sensing the larger picture, formed by interweaving journey of souls across time. Lilmo, to learn. The mitznefet, the turban. The turban's function was to clear away arrogance so that the people could learn the truth unhindered by self-inflation. Ulamed, to teach. The tzitz, the headband. The headband helped to heal the social vision of the people so that their view of each other leans to the favorable potential. This is the attitude of a good adventure. Lishmor, to protect. The kutonet, the tunic. The tunic cleared the collective heart from inclinations towards violence and physical abuse as a way of solving turmoil. The asot, to act. The ephod, the apron. The apron served to direct the heart of the people to act with certainty of total support in the collective cosmic consciousness. And Okayam, to maintain. The miknasa, the pants. The spiritual function of the Kohen's pants was to direct the attention of the people toward building a better future for all and away from alleviating individual despair through personal sexual gain at the expense of others' pain and or destruction of others' long-term commitments. And so each one of these layers is another thing for us to work on. And as we're getting invested, each day, we're not the high priest, but we are the high priest. We're asked to be a nation of priests. And the environment we create for ourselves and the clothes we choose to wear and how we appear outside, it's been something of what we are inside. It's a very important part of staying connected, that we should know how to bring our inside to the outside in a modest way, in an appropriate way. And each environment demands something different. So it's like, there's this fine line, I think, in getting dressed, expressing ourselves and what's going on inside, and at the same time being aware of what things look like from the outside. And again, this is a whole teaching about how to have God inside and how to be aware of the godliness surrounding us. And every person we meet as a person who's giving us a message, who's a voice of God, really, for the angels, for us. That's a very important piece. Yeah, I have a little more time. Okay, so one thing that David does, I'll show you a picture of what it looks like. In the last year of his life, he died young, unfortunately, but for 4 years he wrote commentary on the Parsha, based mostly on Hasidus, but also on psychology. And when he read Torah to us, he was the rabbi, our Rabbi Haver in our community, he would go to the roots of words and give over the meaning from that place. I want to give you a sample of the beginning of this Parsha. So the normal way that it's translated is, you shall command the Israelites that they take you oil of olives, pure, beaten, for the light to burn a lamp regularly. And this is how he gives it over. Connect, so you shall command. Connect to the more intuitive parts of you with the more conventional parts of you, that's Israelites, that they take you. Take and absorb deeply inside yourselves wisdom from the tree of life, that's the oil of olives, purified of subtle agendas, sufficiently crushed in the external view so that its inner light shines through, with the intention that each soul and spirit will rise as a result of your immersion in the light. And the next little piece, in the tent of meeting, is the normal way it says, outside the curtain that is before the covenant, shall arrange from evening to morning Aaron and his children before Yah, and it shall be a perpetual ordinance to be observed throughout their generations. And this is the way he takes it. Let your light shine in the tent of light, where I always meet you, shielded by the filter, which protects you from the fiery glare of the shining witness. There prepare to let out all your light from night to dawn through a pattern of waves of love, going through conventional ideas of God. This ability is engraved in the very world open to every age and every time, available to anyone who shoots straight for God. You know, with the Israelite children, they're the Shar El, going straight for God. It's complicated, but I just want to give you a taste of some of what David does.
Very beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay. Welcome all. I have so many visitors and so many returners, and it's very nice to see you all. Really, thank you. Thank you all. Okay, I just want to read a pasuk from this past week's parsha. You'll see why. The Asisa Chamisha Krase Zahav. Okay, you should make 50 clasped hooks of gold. The Chibarta Es Hayiriot, Isha al Achota, the Krasim. Okay, and so you should connect the strips, the cloth that was used to cover the Mishkan with these clips, with these hooks, like a one to another. But to see the nice language here, Isha el Achosa, like a woman to her sister, or a wife and her sister. Like this is talking about the closeness, the connection of the different pieces of the Mishkan. They have to be that connected to each other. Okay, and then it says V'haya Mishkan Echad, and the Mishkan will be whole, will be one. Okay, I read that because that's our malacha that we've been working on. And actually, if you look through the whole parsha, if you didn't do it this past week, you get another chance with Parshas Vayakel. But as you read through it, you can see the source for all of the malachos, all the things that we've been talking about all these weeks, all the years already, all the malachos. Whoa. Okay, so I'm just going to go on with what we've been talking about, which is the idea of medabek chelakim, right? That's exactly it. You take the hooks, you take the yeriot, you take all the pieces, you connect them together. This is the malacha of connecting pieces, medabek chelakim. All right, so we talked we said there are 3 different categories for this malacha. Okay, we said in the past, so we talked about ochel, about food, right? Making cheese and compressing mashed potatoes and things like that. We also talked about last week about assembling structures. So you have a ramp and you're tramping down the dirt or pouring water on the cement so that it becomes more harder, more solid. Okay, so today we're talking about another area, okay, which is binyan b'kelim, building with making kelim. Making kelim are usually not like a house, right? They're smaller things. And we said in the beginning, because this comes right from the Gemara, that there's, ein binyan b'kelim. There's no such thing as building, the malacha of bona does not apply to smaller objects. But there's quite a bit of a disagreement. And I've said this all along, that this malacha of bona does not easily, it's not something that there's a clear consensus on anything. Every single point of it, there is a machlokus. Every single point there's disagreement. Okay, so I'm actually going to talk about one area of disagreement, and it has significance for the question of opening bottles and opening all kinds of packages, which, you go to one house, somebody doesn't open soda bottles. You go to someplace else, they do open soda bottles. This is the basis of the machlokus. Okay, so first of all, Rashi seems to agree with the Gemara. Rashi says there's no such thing as building any kind of structure unless it serves as some kind of a shelter, right? A structure has walls, a structure has a roof, a structure protects whatever is underneath it. That's Rashi's understanding of what of bona is. Nobody agrees with him. I shouldn't say nobody, but most of the Rishonim do not agree with him. Primarily, we have the opinion of Tosfos and we have the opinion of the Rambam, but Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Berurah, Tur, all down the line. There's no clear, nobody seems to look at it the same way as Rashi does. Okay, so there's the 2 other primary views are the Tosfos. So they say that making any kind of a structure, as long as it's tightly fit together, becomes the malacha of bona. Okay, you take a barrel, because that's his example, barrel's made of slats, and then a piece of metal that holds it tightly together. Could be this big, right? It doesn't matter. He says that would be the malacha of bona. If you make any modification to that, make it. You take the slats, sorry, I wasn't clear, slats and metal, and you bind it all together. That would, right, well, but don't make a barrel. Keep your barrels to yourself until after Shabbos. No barrel making till after. But this is the important point that's relevant to us, because if you make any modification to that structure, meaning if you put a spout onto it, or if you put a hole in it, right, to be able to, right, what? Barrels usually come with lids, but if you make any major structural, so according to Tosfos, that actually is also the malacha of bona. Any major modification of the structure is also bona. Okay, then you have the opinion, we got these all straight. Then we have the opinion of the Rambam, who says, doesn't matter what you do with it, as long as it's a solid, put together structure. Tosfos insists that it has to be tightly high structure. Rambam says you can take this barrel that's been taken apart and glue it back together, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. And matter of fact, it doesn't matter if you put a hole in it, if you put a spout in it, or you take off the lid. Okay, so all right, so there you get to the 3 basic principles, basic understandings of the idea of bona, and which is why we have this disagreement over whether you can open. Okay, so there are people who say, Okay, so I didn't finish my sentence. So so you there are those who say you can't open a can or a bottle of soda, right? Anything with a twist off cap, that's an opinion that you can't open. Can't open cans of tuna, canned fruit, vegetables, etc. Can't open a carton containing milk, juice, right? Opening a box of matzah, like that's glued together, like from cereal boxes, that kind of thing. Can't do that. Opening a bag of sugar. Okay, this would be the opinion of the of Tosfos, and that is very broadly accepted. Except there are those who say that if you're not making it into a kli, it's already a kli, right? What does a kli do? It holds a liquid, right? So by taking the top off, so then they say, okay, taking the top off, the top is the kli. That's been altered, and that becomes the kli. And then there are those who say it's nothing. You take the can of tuna fish and you throw it in the garbage. It's not a kli. It's a covering. It's an opening. It's not something that you've made useful or meaningful. Maybe someone told me, she asked her father, who's maybe in Europe, like a can would have been worth something. Now we're a disposable society. We take something like that and we throw it out. So it doesn't matter very much.
I used to think about this. They say, well, I was in the desert and I would need like something to hold water. I would use a catch fish.
Okay.
And even though now with you, I mean, now you in a certain situation, you needed something
Okay.
to hold water.
Okay. Okay.
But you're not changing it.
Well, that's
You're not changing the item.
right.
You empty out one thing.
Okay, so the argument to you is that before you opened it up, the top was, before you opened it, you'll say it to everybody, before you opened it up, the top was just a cover. Okay, now it becomes a functional way of getting into it. I don't know, like you're a little weaker with tuna fish cans. It's a little weaker with tuna fish cans, but a bottle that screws back on. I mean, that seems to be the area where there's the most question. People put a hole in it so that it's no longer functional. I mean, this is one of those things. Ask your rabbi. Ask your own rabbi. But I don't.
You don't pass.
I don't paskin, that's for sure. But I also do open bottles. I do open bottles. I consider it to be a kli already, and I consider it to be nothing of any value that's worth keeping. I don't keep used cans. Same bottle one is the same thing like a bottle of soda. Oh, a bottle with a cork. Huh.
But then because people give one and
Right.
you think it's opened it before.
Okay, so ask your rabbi. Ask your- Yes.
When you open, okay, because some of you say that.
To what? To cook? Cups. Yeah. Right. Right.
So, because they say that it's a very that the cut and the line that is like preformed to be good. So,
Right. You can't cut out any perforated lines, like a tissue that comes with perforation. I mean, there's people who say you have to destroy the packaging completely. That it's not reusable. I buy my tissues, I open it up, put it in its storage place. Never will run out of tissues. I'm sure. A can? What, the package? A can? Well, that's the difference of opinion. That's the difference of opinion. There, according to Tosfos, you would not be able to. According to the Rambam, you would probably be able to. According to other Meforshim, so it's an area that has a great deal. I mean, and this argument goes back. We're talking about the Rishonim. This is 1,000 years ago, more than 1,000 years ago. So it doesn't seem to have been settled to our day. So you do keeping all of this in mind, you do your best and you ask your rabbi what, how to open it exactly. Right. Right. Okay, but you understand the conflict. So
Shadowed area.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so a few little announcements. So first of all, I want to thank Elisheva Magid, who's sponsoring breakfast today. It's in for the Ilui Neshama of her husband, first Yortzeit, Shlomo Zalman Nachman Ben Dov Bear. So we thank you very much for your support. His neshama should have an aliyah. Thank you. Okay, the next thing is, let me just shut this 1 second. Okay, the next thing is we're starting a new series of 4 lectures with Rabbi Rome. Okay, the first lecture is this week, and it's entitled. He's so cute. That's nice to say. Okay. A Kabbalistic Purim party. How to get drunk on God. Okay, and then the next week will be the secret plot, the real reason Haman drew lots, and like that. So there will be actually 2 lectures on Purim, 2 lectures on Pesach. There is class next week. I guess I should have asked some people whether they wanted to come on its own. You know, you'll come if you can, if you have strength. And